Hey traders, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you on December the 7th, Wednesday evening, with a look at the ES and some of the things I was talking about during the day, as well as my thoughts going into the remainder of the week. We've had these channel lines on the charts for the last week or so, and I pointed out that this trend line at the closes here was tested 1, 2, 3, 4 times and a 5th time recently. Okay, we had these wicks on these candles signifying buying up to a point and then sellers coming in. Okay, well, today we finally got a close above this upper trend line, and I am very positive about that development. I would like to see tomorrow and the next day a continuation, obviously. What I'm presently thinking is a continuation move similar to this one, where we had this low in October to this high on October 27th, and a similar move to the upside. Okay? No guarantees, but that's what I'm thinking about. Now, obviously, there's people in the room that said I'm out of my mind, that I'm smoking the hopium and various other things, but I'm only going by what I see on the charts. The fact that we tested this trend line, the 786 area, and we are moving above those levels. Okay, I'm looking at the closes only. I'm also looking at the patterns that were here before. This this pennant formed by this upper trend line and the lows here that we came up and tested this, we closed above it, and we're finally moving decisively above that area. Okay, I'm also looking at this area here where we're flagging out, okay, and looking for this as looking at this as a bull flag, similar to what we did here, okay, on a more condensed basis and a move higher. If we move above this 100% retracement area, I see the 127 extension as a likely area of a target. Taking these fibs off and looking at the more recent move, see fib levels, the 100% level obviously here, and that we're trading above the 786. Doesn't tell you a whole lot there. So looking at this area here where we had this move up to this big candle, alright, the fact that we're trading above this target at 1273 was the first thing I was thinking about. 1272, 1270 today. Alright, so that's where that number came from. Alright, but coming up to the highs from this pivot here up to this high today, the 127 extension, I mentioned also that once we break through the 1270 area, the 1289, this close here on October 27th as a target, and then making it above this 100% level, we can look at the 127 extension at 1300. So that's my targets presently. Now I also like to look at the 4-hour chart and also look at the action after hours, Globex, and what we can see here is we're moving sideways, okay, since we opened on Sunday, and haven't broken above that range, but we also haven't broken down, which is something I want to point out to some people in the room that keep mentioning we need to correct, we need to drop, we need to flush. Okay, we don't have to do anything. The market can do whatever it decides to do. Alright, we could continue to do this, alright, in time, or we could correct in price. All right, like so. It's two ways of consolidating, obviously. To say that we have to drop or have to flush doesn't consider the possibility that we can move sideways. The market has shown us in the past that it can move sideways just as easily, like we did in this pennant formation. Okay, this chopped up a lot of people. All right, so keep that in mind when you say that the market has to do something that you think in order for you to get into a trade. You have to read the charts, you have to read the closes, and understand what the market is telling you. Okay, this candle here is telling me that the bulls are winning right now. We have all these green candles. Yeah, sure, we have some tails, but for the most part, we're leaning to the upside. Okay, so I'm looking for this to continue to trade sideways. If for some reason we get some information that makes us drop, then I'll be looking at that differently. But for the time being, I'm looking at a time-based correction. The other thing you have to consider is this move in October was substantial. It was a move showing strength, and the fact that we consolidated here, dropped down, but didn't come all the way back down to this low is telling you that there is support and strength in this market still. Okay. The other thing to consider is the fact that we had this move up, the substantial move like I mentioned, and we came down and hit the 618 area where we had 1152 target off of this high. When we got this pivot, this candle here, that's when we started looking at 1152, the 618 as a possible target. Okay, and because of the strength of the move, we looked at this 612 as a likely bounce area and the possibility of a second leg up, which would be similar in strength to this move. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. Now, looking at the spiders, we had an interesting candle today where we came down towards the top of this descending trend line or descending channel that we pointed out on the hourly chart. Okay, and we came down to this area close to this upper trend line, and we moved off of that and closed higher. Looking at the daily, I'm noting these candles that are forming right along the 200 period moving average, okay, which is basically flat. And the rule is, like I mentioned before, with Bollinger Bands, you trade the upper and lower Bollinger Bands when you have flat 200 MA. Okay. Now, looking at the weekly, I note that we're right below, trading right below the 50 period moving average. Okay. I note the Bollinger Bands are starting to contract. We are moving sideways, but we did get a stochastic cross. Okay. I'm noting that the MACD is turning back up. We have stochastics, which is crossed back up, as I mentioned. So this is looking good. Looking more bullish than bearish. You could have the case that we have resistance here. Okay. But the thing I'm noticing is where we have somewhat mixed signals. We have a lot of resistance in this area. So if we trade above this, we could start to see a dissipation in resisting volume. Okay, we're right at that area where we could start to move up higher. Okay, on the monthly, we're trading above the EMAs, so that's looking pretty good as well. And note this, the stochastic has given us a cross and moving back higher. So that's my read on the SPY and the ES for the time being. Also note copper is flagging out here. We're right above the EMAs, and we all know that copper is a leading indicator for the industrial sector and construction. As copper moves higher, you can view that as a confirmation that equities should start moving higher as well. Euro, US dollar isn't giving us a whole lot to trade from, but we are holding off this this lower trend line. We could look at this as a double bottom. Stochastics is in the mid-range, so this could turn either way. Okay, we want to see this move higher for equities. Now the DBV Power Shares Harvest Fund, this is looking bullish. We're right at the 200 period moving average, so you want to see this moving higher, confirmation for equities to continue as well. We're in this pattern here where we could have resistance up above, but for the time being, this is looking bullish to me. As long as we don't turn back over, obviously. We are in the overbought territory, but I'll be watching this for any indications that we're seeing a lack of strength or a dissipation of strength and a possible move back down. Okay? Alright, so this is Cousin Vinny coming to you from Day Trading Radio. Remember to sign up for a 2-week free trial where you can talk to some of the more experienced members in the room. If you're a new trader, come check it out. Remember to use your stops, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.